Andrew woke up with a start. He knew what had happened, and his heart sank. The sound of shattering downstairs did the same to his nerves. It had come. After weeks of watching and stalking him, the creature had finally decided to break in. The patio door, made completely of glass, provided it with the perfect entrance. Andrew lay in bed in the blackness, illuminated only by the small amount of light the moon provided through the space between the curtains. He listened for the creature to see if it was inside, secretly praying that everything would be silent. The terrifying cracking of glass under its feet confirmed his worst fear. It had finally made its way into his home. With this crushing realization, Andrew, now shaking, grabbed his baseball bat and crept downstairs. Deeper into the darkness, he was determined to confront the thing once and for all, secretly hoping, though, that it would run away when it saw him, as it normally did. Andrew stood at the bottom of the stairs, listening. At first, all he heard was the cracking of glass under the creature's feet. Then, for the first time, Andrew heard it, breathing heavily, as if its throat was blocked with phlegm. The hideous monster snarled and clicked, gradually getting closer to Andrew. Now, out of the kitchen, the creature was finally off the glass. It walked almost silently now, strangely more agile than it looked, especially considering how clumsily it ran away. Andrew realized what he needed to do. He grasped his weapon tighter and froze, unable to move. He knew he needed to attack it, but he just couldn't. Its teeth, its eyes, its skin, they were human, but not quite. It was in the living room now, and edging closer by the moment. Yet Andrew was still too terrified to move. Even if it didn't have arms, the creature was the embodiment of terror to Andrew. Andrew stood at the bottom of the stairs, shaking. He heard the creature getting ever closer, the sickening sound of its distorted breathing, amplified by the almost pitch-black darkness. It was nearly at him now. He had one chance to kill it, and he wasn't going to waste it. The creature stepped into the doorway to the stairs. Andrew was hidden just to the left. He swung at full force, hitting the thing in the chest with the bat. It staggered back, then stopped and looked at Andrew, its tiny, wild eyes staring into his soul. Andrew felt a deep fear, unlike anything he had ever experienced. The creature then let out a gurgling hiss, baring all of its sickening, deformed teeth in the process. It kicked Andrew in the guts, winding him. He fell to the floor in pain, unable to breathe, then rolled onto his back and scuffled up against the wall just behind him. The creature watched him until he reached the wall, at which point it walked toward him and looked down at him as if judging him, lying there helpless. It then stomped on his shin, snapping the bone. Tears began to stream down Andrew's eyes. The pain was so intense, he thought he was going to vomit. Andrew, now incapacitated, had nowhere to go, no way to fight. The creature placed its foot on his stomach, pressing down, ripping into his flesh with its long, dirty toenails. With the creature's foot so completely inside his stomach, Andrew started to cough up blood. Tears streamed down his face. He passed out from the pain, and then passed away. The creature loomed over what was now his bloody corpse. It descended its face towards Andrew, then tore away a bloody piece of flesh from his chin, dislocating one side of its jaw in the process. The creature continued to tear and eviscerate Andrew's corpse until everything it could stomach had been devoured. It then left, calmly, silently, with a pure and deep hatred in its heart. It departed the same way it had come in, through the broken patio door. Another perspective on Bob. Hey guys, normally creepy shit doesn't happen to me, despite living in the weird New Jersey. I guess I can't really say that anymore, considering I've had the worst frigging week of my life. In a way, I brought all of this on myself, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Since I've lurked for so long, it's only fair I tell you guys what happened. So a week ago, my birthday, I just turned 18 and decided I wanted to screw around and look for ghosts. I would have hung out with my friends, but I wasn't in the mood to be a third wheel. If only I just sucked it up and dealt with it. Instead, I shoved my phone and my flashlight in my hoodie pocket and snuck out the back door. I really didn't expect to find much, or I would have brought a proper weapon with me. I guess it's sort of dumb to think about it in retrospect. I remember glancing at the clock. It was around 11 or 12 at night when I left. It was pretty dark because there was no moon. I figured if I was going to see anything cool, it was going to be now. Now, I wasn't just walking around the forest, herpa-derping. There's actually a pretty sketchy cemetery about 10 minutes up the road from my house that's been around for the past couple of 100 years. It's also a spot that practices green burial, where they, put the bodies in a biodegradable casket and send it on its way in the dirt. Well, my uncle owns a plot of land the cemetery is built on, and being the cheap bastard that he is, most bodies buried there end up thrown in there by themselves. I figured there must be some kind of ghost pissed off about having such a shitty resting place who roams around the cemetery at night. I guess I was thinking I could point him to where my uncle lives and start a haunting, just for shits and grins, Probably doesn't work that way, but I wasn't expecting to find something anyway. I finally made my way there and was about to go through the gate to the cemetery when I saw some kind of gray-colored guy thing in the nature trail next to the cemetery. And yeah, I shit you not, my uncle thought it was a great idea to put a nature trail next to the cemetery. I'm a little nervous at this point because I can't think of anybody other than me crazy enough to go out in a place like this at night. There isn't even a car around, so whoever this was, they must have walked there, just like I did. I shouted out at the dude, thinking maybe it was some stoner smoking or another ghost hunter. They didn't say anything. All I could hear was this sickly sound of wheezing. Thought maybe they needed help and were out of breath from running away from something, so I took a deep breath and started walking down the trail. I whipped out my flashlight to light up whoever was down there, only to stop dead in my tracks. Whatever the thing was, it didn't have any arms or clothes on. Basically, I noped right out of there, ran the whole way home, and locked every door in my house. My mom was pretty pissed that I snuck out, and figured I was on a bad trip when I told her about some naked no-arm thing stalking the cemetery. I don't blame her, but I wish she'd believed me or at least humored me so I could carry around one of those Rambo knives that she collects. I was pretty shaken up. This freak of nature had to know where I lived because I didn't run that fast. Still, I rationalized with myself. I didn't see the guy behind me, and I didn't hear that horrible wheezing sound, so I decided I shouldn't worry about it. A couple of days later, I was sleeping normal again, till I saw that thing. My front door was open, so my dog could go in and out as he pleased. Her name's Piggy, and she's an inside dog, but house-trained, so She'll go outside when she needs to use the bathroom. Dogs always have a place they like to go, and her spot was smack dab in the middle of a field in front of my house. Piggy ran outside, and a few minutes later, I heard her barking. I was a little confused because she normally never barks, so I figured there must have been a stray cat around or something. I got up to assess the situation. That damn thing was standing in the middle of the field, fixated on my dog. He had a toothy grin on his face, and the little teeth in his mouth looked as if they were about to rot out. He was completely hairless and gray all over, with tiny, squinty eyes. I started screaming, making any kind of noise necessary to distract him from eating my dog, who during all of this was frozen in her tracks. His eyes darted up to me, and we had this staring contest for what seemed like hours, but I'm sure it was only a few minutes. He broke my gaze and, I shit you not, began peeing on my dog. It wasn't yellow or clear, but a disgusting pea green that coated my dog's fur. It was viscous, like snot. It had this horrible acrid smell, similar to sulfur, I guess. I have no clue what it was, but it was on my dog, and that couldn't have been a good thing. At this point, I grabbed a kitchen knife and started running towards the thing. He stopped peeing and wheezed away. I wouldn't pursue him, but I was just thankful he hadn't eaten my dog. Peeing on her wasn't the greatest alternative. I put on some rubber gloves and grabbed my lilac doggy shampoo to hose her down. Piggy normally doesn't like baths, but I'm sure she was happy to get that stuff off of her. I went to bed a few hours later, but not before locking all the doors again. I wasn't taking any more chances with this thing. I didn't know what to do about him that night, so I just decided to sleep on it. Now, normally my dog sleeps with me, but that night I never felt her climb up next to me. The one time I woke up, it seemed as if she was just staring off into the distance. My mom was crying, telling me there was something wrong with her. The dog was wheezing, and I instantly remembered that no-arm thing pissing on her the other day. But I shook it from my memories pretty quick to tend to my dog. I remembered she had this sad look in her eyes, and she wouldn't drink any water or even eat meat. It was scary, and I sped to the vet, who referred me to the hospital, who had her there overnight. Apparently, she had contracted doggy pneumonia in the middle of summer. About $1,100 in vet bills later, Piggy drove home with me the next day in a horrible thunderstorm. I pulled up in my driveway, and what do you know? That thing was standing right in the middle of it, just staring at me like a deer caught in headlights. I knew this was my chance. No more screwing around. I floored my car and drove right at him, saw his eyes widen to full circles. Next thing I knew, he jumped up on my car, then off again, then full-on sprinted off into the woods. I missed him. The one shot I had to kill him, and I missed him. The past couple of days, I haven't really slept. All I can think about is that creature. I've never heard of something like that before, and he doesn't seem as dumb as I thought he was. I know he's planning his next move, and I'm scared of what this thing might be planning for me or my family. I don't really know what to do. I've gotten about 10 hours of sleep the whole week, and I know I'm not going to be able to keep it up soon. I'm scared to close my eyes, scared that as soon as I do, he'll be back in my room, doing God knows what. Does anybody have any experience with a creature like this? I can't stay awake forever.
You're still here. Thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague here. Always a pleasure to see all my new and old viewers coming by for another one of my spooky tales. If you'd like to support the show, you can always take part in one of our channel offers through Fume or Aura, or you can just click on another video when they come up. I'd really appreciate it. For our newer viewers, we also have lots of playlists and other things if you'd like to get caught up. I know some of my series have been going on for quite a while. If you'd like to get my latest book, there's a link down below that'll take you to my Amazon page. Towesey Homestead just came out, so if that's something you'd like to get your hands on, go ahead and have a look down there. If you'd like a signed copy, you can go ahead and email me from my email address on the site, and I'll get with you about shipping information and ship you a signed copy. If you'd like to support the channel in a more monetary fashion, we also have membership through YouTube, and we've got a Patreon that you can get the information for in the description. We have lots of tiers and everything to suit your needs. Patrons that support on the $10 tier, that's our Ghostly Reader tier, get a book anytime I write one, signed and on their doorstep. As you may have noticed, there's a list of patrons and members on the screen, and I'd like to personally thank every one of them for taking a hand in the future of this channel. Well, that's enough for tonight. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.